You probably think clean drinking water requires something complicated, a machine, a filter, chemicals, electricity. But what if I told you, a glass of water can start cleaning itself with nothing more than two simple metals? No buttons, no power, no expensive system, just time. And here's the strange part. This isn't new technology. It's not some modern breakthrough or hidden lab experiment. This method has existed for thousands of years, long before modern filtration systems, long before bottled water companies, long before any of us were even here. Yet somehow, almost no one talks about it. Not because it doesn't work, but because it's too simple. Today, I'm going to break down exactly how this works, the real science behind it, where it came from, and most importantly, what it can and cannot do. No exaggeration, no hype, just the truth. And trust me, the truth is already surprising enough. So let's start with the core idea. Certain metals don't just sit in water, they actively interact with it. One of the most powerful among them is copper. Now here's something most people don't realize. Copper doesn't filter bacteria out of water, it destroys them. And it doesn't do it in a gentle way either. When bacteria come into contact with copper, the metal releases tiny charged particles called ions. These ions attack the bacteria from multiple angles at the same time. They break down the outer membrane, damage the internal structure, and even interfere with the DNA inside the cell. It's like hitting the bacteria everywhere at once. And because of that, bacteria can't adapt to it the way they do with antibiotics. There's no single pathway to bypass, no simple mutation that saves them. They just collapse. This phenomenon actually has a scientific name. It's called the oligodynamic effect. Scientists have known about it for over a century, and it's been tested again and again in controlled studies. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Copper alone is powerful, but when you introduce a second metal into the water, something else happens, something stronger. When copper and zinc are placed together in water, they don't just sit there independently. They create a tiny natural electrical reaction between them, almost like a microscopic battery forming right inside the container. And that small reaction speeds everything up. It increases the release of ions into the water, meaning more antibacterial activity happening faster. Copper attacks one set of cellular systems, zinc disrupts another. Together, they become far more effective than either one alone. Now here's the part that really makes you stop and think. This isn't some new discovery. Long before modern science could explain what was happening, people were already using this method. Ancient civilizations had figured out something was different about storing water in certain metals. They didn't have microscopes. They didn't know about bacteria or ions. But they observed results. In ancient Egypt, copper was used not just for storing water, but even for treating wounds. They noticed it slowed down infection, even if they didn't fully understand why. In India, this idea became part of everyday life. For thousands of years, water was stored in copper vessels overnight before being consumed. It wasn't a trend, it was routine. There's even a traditional name for it, tamrajal, meaning copper-infused water. And what's fascinating is this wasn't based on belief alone, it was based on repeated observation. Generations noticed that water stored this way stayed fresher, caused fewer illnesses, and was safer to drink. Fast forward to modern times, and science finally caught up. Researchers began studying metals like copper in controlled environments. They tested how bacteria reacted, how quickly it died, and how effective the process really was. And the results? Consistent, repeatable, verified. Bacteria that normally survive in water were being eliminated simply by contact with metal surfaces. So what does modern research actually say about all of this? Because history is interesting, but data is what really matters. In controlled laboratory studies, copper has been shown to reduce harmful bacteria in water by up to 99.99% within just a few hours. Not days, not weeks, just hours. We're talking about bacteria like E. coli, salmonella, and other pathogens that are commonly responsible for waterborne illnesses. In some experiments, water stored in copper containers showed complete elimination of detectable bacteria within 4 to 8 hours, and those results stayed consistent even after longer periods. Now think about that for a second. No electricity, no complex system, no replacement filters, just time and a piece of metal. And when zinc is introduced into the equation, the process becomes even more efficient. Because now you're not relying on a single mechanism. You have two different metals releasing ions, interacting with microorganisms in slightly different ways, increasing the overall effectiveness of the process. It's not just additive, it's synergistic, meaning the combined effect is stronger than each one on its own. And all of this has been studied, documented, and published across decades of scientific research. Hundreds of papers, repeated experiments, consistent outcomes. So the real question becomes, if something this simple works this well, why isn't everyone using it? Well, the answer isn't as mysterious as it might seem. Think about how modern water systems are built. They rely on ongoing processes, chemicals that need to be added continuously, filters that need to be replaced, devices that require power, maintenance, and upgrades. There's an entire industry built around keeping water clean, and that industry depends on something very specific: repetition, recurring use, recurring costs, recurring purchases. Now compare that to this: a small piece of copper, a small piece of zinc, used again and again, with no replacement schedule. There's nothing to sell long-term, no subscription, no refill, no upgrade. And that doesn't make it bad, it just makes it different from how modern systems are designed. But here's the important part. This doesn't mean this method replaces everything else. And this is where most people get it wrong, because what this method does is very specific. It targets biological contamination, bacteria, microorganisms, some pathogens. But it does not remove dirt, chemicals, heavy metals, or physical particles from the water. It's not a filter, it's a purifier. And understanding that difference is what separates using this correctly from using it dangerously. So how do you actually use this in real life? The setup is surprisingly simple, but a few details matter if you want it to work properly. First, you need two things: a piece of copper and a piece of zinc. These don't need to be anything fancy. A small section of copper pipe or wire works perfectly. For zinc, something like a galvanized bolt or fitting is enough. The key is real metal, not coated, painted, or mixed with unknown materials. Before using them, clean both pieces properly. This step is important. Use something simple like vinegar and a cloth to remove any surface dirt or oxidation. You want clean metal exposed directly to the water, not a layer of grime blocking the reaction. Once cleaned, rinse them with water. Now place both pieces into your container. And here's something a lot of people overlook. They should either touch each other or be very close, because when copper and zinc are in contact in water, they create a small natural electrical reaction. That reaction helps release ions more efficiently into the water. Next, fill your container. Glass, ceramic, or stainless steel works best. Try to avoid plastic, especially for long storage, since it can affect water quality over time. Now comes the easiest part. Wait. Leave the water undisturbed for at least 6 to 8 hours. Overnight is ideal. During that time, the metals interact with the water, releasing ions that begin reducing microbial presence. By morning, the process has done its job. One more thing that can make a big difference is surface area. A thin wire, mesh, or multiple small pieces will work better than one thick chunk of metal. More surface exposed means more interaction with the water. It's a small detail, but it improves the overall effectiveness. Now here's the part most people overlook. This method has limits. It works against bacteria and microorganisms, but it doesn't remove dirt, chemicals, or heavy metals. So if your water is visibly dirty or heavily polluted, this alone isn't enough. You need to filter first, then use this as a second step. Think of it simply. Filtration handles what you can see. This handles what you can't. And that's what makes this so fascinating. In a world where solutions keep getting more complex, more expensive, and more dependent on technology, something this simple still works. No power, no moving parts, no constant replacements, just basic materials, doing what they've done for thousands of years. Not as a replacement for everything we use today, but as a reminder that sometimes the most effective solutions aren't the newest ones. They're the ones we forgot to pay attention to. Used correctly, it's powerful, and once you understand it, it's hard to ignore.